How you doing?
I'm good. Well, I'm good. I'm glad to hear from you.
Yeah,
We always seem to connect when we need to.
yeah. Let me just run in the living room, Angie, to get my
I'm not
tobacco.
interviewing you yet. I tell you why. I tell you why, because I got it in my head we're doing that tomorrow.
That's okay. I just
But
needed to set this up, and I've
yeah,
done
no,
it and
you've
find
done brilliant.
myself.
Well done. Give yourself a pat on
I've
the
never.
back.
I'm a technophobe to the max,
So
and
am
I'm
I.
so bloody proud of myself.
So am I proud of you. There's a lovely, lovely woman who's dying, right, with COPD and all sorts. You know the woman that was saying about her half sister that was murdered. Her stepdad confessed. She's desperately,
Susan.
and she can't do what you just did. She's desperately trying to get on Skype. She can't even connect on Messenger. So she's furiously making recordings and just like, so it seems such a simple thing, but it's not. It's not.
I've had this computer a year, and I've only just started to muck around with it. I'm
Oh,
terrified of them. And my sister was a computer teacher. I used to say, teach me. She says, you're not ready. Every time. So is that, yeah, he got 2 years. So I was quite glad about that.
you said you were 6 months off. What did you think
I thought he would get 18 months
Right,
concurrent, and he got 2 years concurrent.
good, good. Well, I know for what he did, it's peanuts, but the amazing, brilliant, fantastic thing is he was found guilty. He's going down. All his pretense to his wife and his son and society that it's all a lie. It's all gone. I was so touched when you said to Sue, "Go ahead and disclose. It's worth it. I know it's agony, but you'll feel better." And I just thought, well, do you know what? Hot off the presses, why don't we do an interview with you? And just what, like, you can go as truthful as you like, or as deep, or as not deep as you like, but like every time a survivor comes forward, and not just comes forward, but bloody well goes to court and
Right, yeah.
wins, it's an inspiration. It's like all those other survivors thinking, no, I can't, nobody will listen to me. Look, no, it's not worth it. My niece took someone to court. She took my brother-in-law to court, and
Yeah.
he got 6 years, right, because he confessed on videotape. But the 6 years was suspended. He didn't go to
All
jail.
right.
He didn't go to jail, and he didn't go on the sex offenders register. And the thing that brutalized my niece was almost all of my family sided with the paedophile,
Oh, which they all, most of them do.
which gave,
I
they
mean, look
gave,
at that. Look at that Cowland's wife. What has she even got to do with it? That was his second wife. She wasn't even up at Ballinacraig or anything. I didn't know what her purpose was there, and why she
who?
was even going to witness. Do you remember when we was at court and he kept on appearing and he came through by the witness rooms? Well,
Yeah,
his wife was next door, but
yeah,
that's not even his first wife. That
right,
was his second wife, who wasn't even there at Ballinacraig. So what
right.
the fucking hell was she doing there?
She was there supporting him, clearly. Clearly. She was there supporting him.
She was in
And
the witness room.
probably,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
but she was
character.
probably, yes, exactly. And the person my niece took to court was a brother-in-law that married one of my sisters, and she divorced him, but still, she stood up in
Yeah,
court and she lied. She said
okay.
she never had any concerns about him with regards to their daughter, which wasn't true, right? Because she'd been to a solicitor and she'd found out that he'd given her daughter a secret mobile phone and he was meeting her after school every day because she had a full-time job. So she had an arrangement for her daughter where she would, I don't know, go to her neighbours or something. And
Yeah.
the ex-husband had figured that out, was meeting their daughter after school every day, gave her a secret mobile phone. And when my sister found out after about 6 months, she went to solicitors to see what she could do about it. She was asked about that on the stand and she denied it completely. she was asked had she ever taken legal advice with regard to her ex-husband being a danger to her daughter, or blah, blah, blah. She denied it. And when we tackled her afterwards, she said, oh, I wasn't lying, I just forgot. And it was like, well, why didn't you then unforget and tell your barrister, you know, sorry, I got the answer to that wrong. I actually did go to solicitors. He actually did blah, blah, blah. I actually did have concerns. No, she left it sit, and her character reference saying that she had no worries about him whatsoever around her daughter, and that, you know, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't put on a sex offenders registered, and his whole sentence was suspended. But the bottom line is, my niece waived anonymity so that he would get exposed, right? He got exposed big time. He was found guilty of being a child abuser. It was on the front page of the local papers. There was no denying it. But my niece, and I'm going to see her, the good news is she's flying home for the inquest, but she said she regretted going to court because of how brutalised she felt by the family not backing her up, you know?
Well, that's it. A lot of people are frightened to talk out now, Angie, because, like, my mate's just got beaten up by our baby father. And I says, call the bloody police. But then the social workers start getting involved. She says, I'm not calling the police because then the social workers, I could lose my kids and that. And they're terrified to call police because social workers come up. There's adoptions, illegal adoptions and everything like that. They take your kids out of the home, a good home. And then the next thing, they're adopted into other families and things like that. And they're making people scared to report kids things. I've got a letter today. He's been put on the sex offenders list for 10 years.
Good. Well, that's good.
Basically, what it's saying is, I can be informed when he's released.
Yeah.
And because they did explain in it that he could serve less time. They didn't say when, but I've sort of knew that anyway because of the overcrowding in the prisons. He's 76 years of age. He's gonna be as quiet as a mouse because he's just been hit with a brick wall.
Well, he might have to go on. Don't a lot of nonces have to go on solitary?
Yeah, they go on to the protection wing with other nonces and beasts. Yeah. But he'll get a dig while he's there, and he'll get it tight when he has to go through mainstream. And they do have to go through mainstream sometimes to collect the meals and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Scotland, they do.
But before we go on to, I will get into the stuff of, like, because when people say, oh, you know, survivors are only after compensation and it's only a bandwagon, they're only after the money, all that bullshit. And I do feel like saying, well, you've got no idea what our lives were like. But before we do that, will you talk to me a little bit about the Freemason thing? Will you make just a little bit about Eastern Star and all that stuff?
Just know that my mother was with the Eastern Star, and she used to attend meetings. But because, you see, with my brother, me, and my sister, we've all got criminal records, so you can be blackballed with this. But she always paid into it. My younger sister, different father, she's also a Eastern Star. She doesn't go to meetings, but she pays in. And the reason it came to light that I knew about my mother being in the Star was, I remember at Christmas, one Christmas, my sister was stuck between a rock and a hard place, no money, no nothing. And my mum applied to the lodge.
Yeah.
They got beautiful presents.
Yeah, yeah. No, because part of their thing is to do good.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's like part of the reverse psychology or reverse. It's bizarre because I nearly got sucked in, you know. Anyway, I didn't. I really nearly was. I was getting invited to a Viennese ball and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. And I realised it was Freemasons.
I remember my sister saying to me,
when you say your uncle, you mean your mum's brother?
My mum's brother. Yeah, all the Masons was on my mother's side.
Okay.
You know, like I said, my grandfather, when I don't even know about the court case or anything like that. I just know that we all went to the convalescent home, the miners' convalescent home to see him. But he was a thief and he was a bit of a rogue. You know, I never knew him to work a day in his bloody life. Gentleman Jim.
You remember him?
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. Do you know what he did once? We used to, we were the slave labourers because they had a chicken farm. And I remember there was me, my brother and my sister. The rabbit had babies and they were quite a little bit lovely now, you know, not little tiny ones. And we were cuckooing all over them in the chalet. Obviously, we weren't doing what we were told. And he came in, Angie, and it was one of them stable doors. He's picked up every rabbit and he's whacked them. Whacked them. But no, wait. He done my brother's one and it didn't die. So my brother has got 2 lollipop sticks. He must have been about 4 or 5. He's got 2 lollipop sticks on either side of the rabbit's neck and bandaged it. And he nursed it back. But that bastard would have seen that, you know. We're obviously kids thinking we're doing something sneaky. And he waited until that rabbit had got back to good health and everything. And then he came and killed it.
No, it's just like, oh,
horrible bastard. He was he told me once, I was mad for watches when I was a kid. And he said, he came in one day and went, your Granny McGowan's got a watch for you. Oh, I was so excited. I couldn't, oh God. And then I found out it was a bloody chocolate watch that you hang on the Christmas tree. I was sobbing my heart out, sobbing.
I swear that's part of the programming. That's part of the MK Ultra thing.
Oh God, it was wicked. He was really wicked. I had the sensation twice from him to get away. You know that sixth sense, because he was talking. It just reminded me of something. He was talking to me, he was in the caravan, and I knew I felt uneasy. I went, oh, is that my gran? But one day my grandmother said to me, Beth, go and get the eggs. So my grandmother had a holdings which had caravans in it, and sometimes in the summer they had residents. But there was a couple there, and they had a little girl. She was about 3. Her name was Julie. So I remember I'm collecting the eggs when I could hear my papa's voice. So there was this great big tin shed, massive tin shed. It used to keep cattle, but there wasn't cattle because we had a poultry farm. And they were free range, so their eggs was everywhere. And I looked through the tin and I could see him, Angie, right? And he had his back. Watch, I'll show you. He had his back and he's talking to Julie. And I now know he was masturbating because his arm was doing that. And he said, I could hear him going like that. Something, knickers, something. And I went, Julie, your mum's calling you. And I steamed in. But I didn't know what he was doing at the time. He was obviously he was masturbating what he was saying. I just heard knickers. I knew he was talking to, but I just knew he was a wrong one. He never came near me because I had a mouth. I'd have blurted it out. Well, he obviously thought I would have blurted it out, but when it happened in the children's home, I locked it down.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
But my grandmother knew.
So the only thing you know about the female side of the one question I wanted to ask you was, do you know your great grandfather?
He died in the war. What happened was, his name was his name was Snedden. Jimmy Snedden, and when he died in the war, my great granny McGowan, she married Joe McGowan, and had 1 child with him, and she's got a 4th original husband and 1. But I knew my granny McGowan. She lived until she was 90. I don't know if there was any of them Masonics, but there's always been money on their side. There's always been, besides not giving a blind bird a worm, they always manages to get money, but they stood on everybody, mainly their family, to get what they wanted, you know.
Right. So you know your great grandfather, but you don't know how far back the Masonic thing goes, and you don't know if the abuse thing goes.
All my uncles and all the women in Canada and my mother and my half sister.
And what age is your half sister?
She's now 41.
And if she do you think she watches anything online? Do you think she follows you at
No,
all?
she's no. She's spina bifida actually as well. So she's just very much into her family. I did want to bring her to the court, but she done a dirty deed again. My mum never left a will, and I kept saying to my mum, listen, irrespective, you're not well, but you're 72. You have to sort this out, even if you leave it to the cat and dog home. I'm not saying give it to us. What I'm saying is sort your affairs out. Don't have fighting. But she didn't, and by the time she wanted to, she lapsed into a coma. So, but what she said is, she's your sister, she'll sort it. No, she didn't. She didn't. She took the whole lot. We only got what the government was. And I've just found out that the other home that my mother had, she sold it last year. And I've only found out about 2 months ago and kept quiet and kept that as well. So she didn't burn us once, she burned us twice. But she's got to live with herself. You know what I mean? It's not about money. I'm not.
I know, but I think one of the consequences, one of the fallouts from being a survivor or a victim before you're a survivor, is that we don't fight.
No, I don't care. I mean, they've sent me papers and everything like that. They sent it to me about 4 weeks ago, Angie, to get bank statements and everything. The solicitors. I still haven't returned anything. I'm the total opposite because I've watched the greed and how, you know, how my family was, my mother's side of the family was for money, and it makes me the complete opposite.
Yeah, I know, but I still think, I know for myself, I've missed out on hundreds of thousands just because I didn't feel, you know, I thought I was the same, like, I don't care, I'm not about money and I'm not going to fight for it. But in a way, I think that was part of our programming, was not to go after anything, was just to believe the propaganda that you know, we don't want it, we don't need it, we're all right, you know. I think it's, and as well, I was really, really thinking after our last talk where you said that the probation officer told you it was probably the best thing that could happen to you is to get you into a children's home, you know, to get you away from your mother. They told my sister the same thing, like, oh, we really do you a favour, you know, we're getting you out of a really unhappy home. But then I don't believe that. I think that was just one of their tactics to say that. You know, to convince the children, like, we're doing you a favour, we're going to take you into care, and you're going to get abused, you know, and have medical experiments done on you, but we're going to make you really grateful and make you think, like, you know, you're really lucky. Yeah, it's crazy.
When I was in Scotland for the trial, I was living at my brother's, and he's starting to unravel, which I find it's a bit late. But he kept on. One night, it was like, I went into the living room with him, and he was sobbing, and he was telling me, "Oh, Beth," he says, "you had the best end." He says, "At least you were in a children's home. We were left here." He says, "I've done some terrible things. I says, "But I know what you've done." "No," he says, "you don't know." And he's sobbing, and I says, "Well, you can speak to, you can tell me." But it's like he's now in a torture, which I would have thought this would have come 10 years prior, you know.
Well, you're 58. So...
My brother's 3.5 years younger than me, so he's like 50, 55.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't got to the crux of it because, like I say, it's fleeting that I'm there. I know that he's done some naughty things growing up, adolescent things, violence and all that. But he's saying, "Oh, you don't know the half of it," you know. But he stopped himself from saying anything.
I know, and it's hard to listen as well. It's like people have tried to disclose to me, including my father.
Yeah.
But I get so shocked, I don't think to say, like, if it was a survivor.
No, I did say to him, I says, "James, there's not nothing that you couldn't tell me that would ever make any effect. It would make me love you less. It would make me love you more. I'm always here when you ever want to talk. I'm here, and whatever you've done, I accept you. I love you. You're my brother."
Right. Well, I pray that he gets the courage, either with you or with a counsellor, to actually, to get.
There's something stopping him from talking, and I don't know.
No, no, it must be torture. It must be torture to live with that stuff. There's so much, but I want to ask you, and I'm sure you've given it some thought. We've got it that you went into care for stupid reasons, really, other than the fact that, your parents were dysfunctional. Because you didn't even, I was saying about you shoplifted. No, you didn't. You just got picked up with two girls that did shoplift. You didn't even shoplift,
Exactly.
So basically, he went into care for being with two girls that shoplifted and for missing school, wagging school. It's insane.
Time.
I know, it's crazy. And then you have a social worker or a probation officer saying, we're doing you a favour, putting you in a children's home. So we've got the sort of good side of the story, and it is good, right, that you got the guts to go to court and he got found guilty. But just talk to the level that you're comfortable with about what effect it had on your life. And really, literally, just whatever you feel.
Oh,
to
yeah.
say.
Oh, will be a few things that I will not disclose through down to embarrassment. Maybe I might declare one day, but there's lots of people who don't know about parts of my life, and I would like it that way kept. But I was just a kid. I came down to London at 15 and was
That's incredibly young. What made you come to London?
well, because I was 11 when I left Earth, so I didn't bond any friends or anything like that. And when I lived with my mother, if I was going out like a 15-year-old kid wants to go out with her mates and everything like that, I didn't know if I was getting allowed to live in the house at night, because she used to not lock the door. It was a control, she always had to.
So you never knew, you never felt secure. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't secure. I used to have to throw stones at my brother and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was just a built-in babysitter because, of course, Sharon was she was just very, very young. And my mum was still drinking and going up to, she used to have these two mates, Chrissy and Nan. And they used to go to this place called the Back of Slories, which was which the locals call the whorehouse.
Oh, God. And this was in what part of Scotland?
This is in Fife.
So make me understand, how can you go to London at 15?
I had a packet of cigarettes. I says, I'm going to buy some cigarettes. And me and my mate hitchhiked to London. No.
And you had no money and nowhere to stay or anything. And what year was this?
Oh, God, in the 70s. We came down for the heat wave that was in the 70s.
That would have been in 74.
74, yeah.
That was when I did my O-levels. I remember that heat wave.
Yeah.
And you just arrive, and where'd you go?
Well, I had lived down here before, briefly, because I had a boyfriend who came from London. He was in the Navy, because it's a naval town, was a naval town. And so anyway, I went down, and somebody says, oh, I've got a friend who lives over in Vauxhall. They've got a spot. They'll let you stay there. So I stayed there, and then met somebody else, and then met this friend who was a friend for a lot of years. As you know, we've discussed her. Sue, and she had a little girl of 3, and she was in a very violent relationship. I mean, I did. I beat up nearly every boyfriend she was with. She always went with guys that wanted to beat her. And I'd never seen that before. Although I came from a dysfunctional family, only once in my life did I ever see my mum and dad fight, play verbal. But my mum had a macaroni pot over her head. But now I know she's nuts. She would have went like that with the macaroni pot, because... And another time when I was a kid, I remember my mum was at that end and my dad was there. And my mum shouted, whose side are you on? And we were all standing in the kitchen looking. And she went to hit my dad with which looked like a massive, great big plant pot. And my dad just went like that and crushed it. I went, I'm on my dad's side. And I went over to my dad. But I adored my father. I was scared. I was terrified of my mother. Absolutely terrified of her. Um, she could shout. I've actually turned into her, Angie.
We all do, don't we? To some extent, we do.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. You haven't turned
Not
into.
nature-wise, but I mean, my brother, he said to me when I was up there, he says, "Oh God," he says, "Beth, your mum." I says, "Well, I don't mind, you know, because I came to have peace with her in the end, because I needed to for myself."
So yeah, for now, like
Do you want me to
if
go
you,
back to
if
the
you,
books?
yeah, I mean, just I don't just say three things. If somebody said to you, "How did being put in a children's home and then abused, how did that impact on your life?" Just if you could say three things, A, B, C. Like for instance, the obvious question is, have you been married and had kids? Have you been able to make relationships work?
No, never.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
Never. I've not had children. I
Oh.
have one working tube. I did finally go and have a look, but sometimes, like I say, God works in mysterious ways. I maybe wasn't meant to have them, and I don't. And I miss not having children, especially now when I would have had my grandchildren. But sometimes I feel blessed I've not had them because I don't think I was mentally strong. If now, if I was 30 with this mentality, then yes. But no, I took a long, 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 long time to grow up, Angie. I didn't grow up until I was about 45.
I know, I know. I've been listening to a guy called Paul Hegstrom, and he says if you experience trauma in the first 7 to 9 years, even up to 11, whereby you're rejected or you're abused, he's got these 5 things that it arrests your development. And he
Yeah.
literally says it changes your brain pathways and it overproduces adrenaline, and you just can't get past, you just can't grow up. Even your brain can't, it's not even a case of you being immature or selfish. It's just literally your brain
Yeah.
is wired a certain way from trauma during the formative years. And until you process that and reprogram the brain pathways, there is no solution. Do you know what I mean? And that's why people end up either with addictions or depression or suicide or
Which I've
just alone, So just tell me, so one thing is that, health-wise, and I would suspect this is connected, you couldn't have children. Psychologically wise, couldn't sustain a relationship, which I think is the most common fallout
Of course.
of childhood abuse. And what would you say a third thing was? Do you think you ever achieved your potential or...
Oh, not at all. No, I'm terrified of rejection even to this day. I mean, I could really love somebody and want to be with that person, but I'd be terrified to tell them in case they told me no. I won't approach. I will never approach. I'll do without rather than.
And what about anxiety and depression and
Yes,
mental
I
health
suffer. I
issues?
suffer with severe anxiety, panic attacks. I had asthma late in life. I now have COPD.
Yeah.
I do have still an addictive personality, whether it be, like cleaning.
Yeah.
I get into certain foods that I'll just eat that for a while. I stress a lot. I worry actually about worrying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I realise that I'm so crippled with it. Like
Yeah.
even something as simple as saying, I'll talk to you at such and such a time, that can just stress my whole day out.
Of
The
course.
fact that I've made a commitment it's insane.
Yeah, I've
It's
got
insane.
everything I do to the mark. Like if I'm going out, I have to know exactly how I'm going, and I get out of sorts if it's out of kilter.
Yeah, if anything changes, yeah. And do you mind asking, do you take medication?
I take my medication for COPD,
Okay.
but I don't think it's doing anything.
And do you take any antidepressants or anything like
Yes,
that?
I'm on mirtazapine, but I don't take them religiously.
Right, right, right. And for the most part, would you say you've overcome the addictions, whatever they were, other than cigarettes? Clearly so.
My drugs.
Huh?
With my drugs, yes, of course.
Well, you say yes, of course, but getting off heroin and crack cocaine is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Do you know there's only something like 2% of people get off those kind of drugs?
Yeah, yeah, I know that. I do.
So don't underestimate that. That is phenomenal.
I mean, heroin is literally physical. You know, it's horrendous. But crack cocaine is weak of the mind.
I know I put a video up about crack cocaine that my niece talked about. It's a horrendous drug, but it's supposed to be one step down from heroin. But I've even heard people say that nicotine is more addictive than heroin.
Oh, well, you do get cravings, but heroin, you're physically sick, your joints ache, you're sweating, and you throw the covers off and you're freezing cold. And this goes on, not for 3 days. This goes on, it's like for at least a month, your whole body isn't yours.
Did you go to rehab or anything, or did you just
myself? Oh, see all this, I've got to go away, I've got to come off. You've got to return to where your environment was. So me personally, why go away from it? You have to do it, even though, because you have to move house otherwise, because them temptations are going to be there when you come back. So sort it out where you are. I do believe that you have to ostracize certain friends. That's another reason I don't have any friends. But the friends I do have been long-term friends who don't touch it anyway.
So do you find that your safest way to exist is just to isolate?
Well, it's not just that. I don't trust very easily either. So I do tend to keep people at arm's length because it protects yourself, doesn't it? It protects.
I know, but it's so lonely, and it's not the way human beings were meant to be.
Yes.
No, I think that's the biggest price we've paid. It's like, I think, you know, every human being has the desire to love and be loved.
Well, of course, but I
used to think that's so simple. Why can't, like, I would see friends, you know, getting married and being happy and this, and I would think, why can't I have that? Why is that so?
I'd love to have the white picket fence and the lovely husband or somebody to care for me, but I just see that I'm not ever going to have that in life. But they say never say never, so always live in hope.
And can I ask you, without being too personal, have you ever been to jail?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I've been to Holloway twice, Drake Hall twice, Compton Vale twice.
Oh, my God. And how long would you have spent in?
I done 2 3-month sentences. I done fines, 7 days, 7 days.
Oh God, I can't imagine. And okay, well we can go deeper on this because I know it goes so much deeper because I don't know about you, but until you get help, you keep reproducing the trauma. You keep making it happen again. Do you find that you drew it to yourself as an adult? You kept making the same thing because that's what you thought you deserved.
My father always used to say to me, Beth, there could be a pair of identical twins at the bottom of the gate, and you'll always pick the wrong one.
I know, it's kind of,
And rather than go through all that, I can't be bothered. I'm 58 years of age. I can't be bothered going through all that newness of relationships, somebody getting to know me, because nothing lasts forever. I don't care what you say, nothing lasts forever. Human beings were not meant to be monogamous. Me personally,
I disagree with that.
Something that's not monogamous.
No, I disagree with that. But that we can. Disagree.
I've always been monogamous.
But they're not.
Yeah, that exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, all I can say is, you were insured the minute you went into care.
Yeah, I saw that.
They had to take out an insurance policy on you that you would not come to any harm. And, I've never met a survivor that did it for the compensation, and it offends me so deeply because, to be honest, we could talk for 5 hours about the fallout. We've only scratched the surface about what the consequences are. But I do want you to go full out. You know, I'm talking to myself as well. I want you to go full out and to get some redress, to get some compensation for what you've been through. Claim, you know, there's an insurance claim, there's an insurance policy on every child.
Scotland, though. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Great Britain that every child that was put in care, it's just like when your kids join a soccer club, or when your kids, like, I don't know, in Ireland, when the kids go to school, every year you'd pay an extra £8 or something just for insurance, you know, and nobody ever claimed. And it's not, the thing is, there's no shame in that. I think it will never pay us back our lives. Do you know what I mean? No amount of money
No, of course.
will ever pay us back our lives. But at least, you know, we shouldn't, after going through everything we've been through and battling with mental injuries, which I don't call them mental illnesses, I call them mental injuries, you know, and ending up alone, you know, primarily as a consequence, I think the least that we're owed is that we don't have to be freaking out about, can I pay my rent? Can I pay my bills? Can I afford to be unwell? Can I afford to, you know, have PTSD? You know, so I just pray that you go ahead and do, you know, make your claims. Just do it and don't give up on that.
Well, now that I know exactly what he's got, I'll be able to put a letter in and just say to them,
Oh, the fact is, totally. And even if you hadn't, well, I suppose it would have had to be proved, but, you know, there was an insurance policy on Elizabeth Donnelly. You were put in care, you came to great harm in care, it's now proven in black and white, you know, you're entitled to claim. So just, I don't know, and don't even get tripped up with, oh, you've got to go through legal aid and this, that, and the other. It's black and white. Do you know what I mean? You had an insurance policy, you had an abuser, he's been found guilty, he's been sent to jail. It's a walk in the park, even if you represent yourself.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I don't know if it was you or Graham that put up a post about they're trying to stop all claims on sexual abuse.
Yeah, that was me. It was UK column Brian Gerrish, but I'd already heard it from several survivors, and one of the ones that was most clued up on it was Melanie Shaw, because the insurance companies, mostly backed by Zurich, are threatening county councils that if you pay out any more child abuse victims, we're going to stop covering you. We're going to withdraw your insurance cover because you've cost us money. We're losing money because of all the payouts you're having to make. So, you know, sorry, that's not your problem. You know, and that's outrageous of Zurich or whoever it is saying that. But I'll send you the link. It's on, Brian Gerrish did an extensive thing on UK Column a few days ago about it.
Yeah.
But no, go down that road. You know, I know you got your closure by reporting and by backing up the other girl and by having the guts to go to court and by seeing him go down. But to me, there's no shame whatsoever in going the whole 9 yards. So just to summarize, how did you feel after the euphoria of the court case and it's over and it had a good ending? And how did you feel after being vulnerable, even saying what you did say?
Yeah.
You know, how it's affected you from childhood and how it still does affect us sometimes. Because I don't know about you, but it still affects me.
Does it? Just because it's a court case. But I tended to feel like I was still vulnerable for the first couple of weeks. But I don't know, for the first time ever, I'm actually looking forward to Christmas.
Oh.
I am. I've got the two little girls up the stairs and the mum.
They're just neighbours, but they're good friends.
Yeah. Since I've been here, they've become really good friends. And now I'm really looking forward to Christmas. I was out and I got some lights and that yesterday. I've got all the Christmas dinner in. And I thought...
And that's the first time in what, 58 years? That's the first time
I've ever liked Christmas. Never ever remember ever enjoying it. I don't remember the time before Ballinacraig, but in Ballinacraig I don't even remember Christmas, but I know that I like Christmas.
Very strange. Either there's only two options there. It's either that they didn't do Christmas for the kids, other than in public where they made you go to church and sing in the choir and stuff. It's either that they just didn't bother doing Christmas,
I don't know anything about Christmas. I just don't remember.
The other option is there's so many people finding I'll never forget, I was on a march, a protest outside Westminster in, I think it was April, and there was a lad that was in a children's home, and he said he got punished and taken somewhere, and he knows he passed out, and when he came back to his mates in the children's home, they told him he'd been gone 5 days, and he'd been drugged and sodomized for 5 days. And he couldn't get it. He thought he was gone 2 hours. So there's solpolamine, or there's also, the date rape.
Oh, that's scopolamine. I've heard James Campbell talk about that.
Yeah. Well, we think date rape drugs are just Rohypnol, but they've been working on memory wiping drugs for 50 years now.
Yeah.
And, so I'm always suspicious. I'm always suspicious with huge memory gaps.
Yeah, I just never recall Christmas, and I don't even know why I dislike it. But I think, I said to Charlotte yesterday, I said, I don't know what. I said, I am really looking forward to it, and I'm smiling, and I'm all happy, and I'm Christmas songs and all that now.
I'm just interested to ask you, because the nuts and bolts of how do you stay alive and how do you stop hurting yourself and stop running, I just want to ask you some practical questions, like your housing. How did you get your housing? How long have you been there? Do you feel stable? How do you live? How did you get off heroin? How did you stop the cycle of going in and out of prison? Just the nuts and bolts of how have you got your life to work?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've totally changed my life. When my father died, just before he died, I was like in bedsit land, and then when he died, I sort of went back home. That was, my marriage had split up, and
I didn't even know you'd been married.
Yeah, I was married to a Muslim guy, and he was a hypocrite. He wanted me to practice his religion, but he never practiced it.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I left, because a relationship I've been in.
Was that London?
Yeah, but every relationship I've been in has been an abusive relationship of some kind.
Just like moth to a flame. How long were you married for?
I was married, and I was with him and married for 4 years. I was 36 when I got married.
Interesting.
My dad died when I was 39. And
Right.
But just before I got married, I was dabbling with cocaine. I'd come away from heroin, and
how you say that lightly? How did you get off heroin? That's not easy.
I just stopped. I just went home to Scotland and just roughed it out, really.
You didn't get methadone, you didn't get counselling, you didn't go to rehab.
No.
Wow. You said you got married at 36 and your dad died at 39 and at 40. Was it you left the marriage?
Yeah, I left. And my sister in Scotland and my mother, found a little flat for me. So when I went up there, that was it. I'd stayed.
Well, that was nice. It was nice of them to get you housing.
Well, it's a control thing on both their parts. It was a control thing, really. You look at it later, it was lovely. Yeah, I'm glad that they did do it, and they were there for me. So I went home, and basically my mum was ill then, and that's when I started to nurse her through, because she had cervical cancer and everything, and the rest of them was all working. I was working, pardon me, but I used to go into my work about 4 o'clock, then start that job, finish there, go up to the cinema, do that job. My work was finished at 9:30 in the morning, so then I would look after my mum.
So by going back home to Scotland, you got clean, but you were still messing with cocaine, but at least you got off heroin.
In Scotland, that was to come away from the cocaine. I was on cocaine for about 5 years, and I went home to Scotland, and that stopped. It all stopped then.
Wow.
And I just looked after my mum, and I've been free of it ever since, which I was up there for 16 years. I went back home for 16 years. But I nursed my mum for 10.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was going in and out.
It was kind of handy having Beth come home, wasn't it? I don't mean to sound cynical.
No, it was. And it was like, when I went home, remember, I hadn't been there since I left at 16. So going back at 40, God, I'll tell you what, I had some wars up there, really did. And You know, I didn't speak to my sister for 2 years. I fell out with my sister. She slept with my husband. He came up to get me to go back. And she had, I found him in her bed.
Oh, God.
Uh, anyway, so I didn't speak to her for a couple of years, and it was just getting to know what my family was like again.
You see
And
it with adult eyes now instead of the child. It's always made out it's your fault, it's your fault.
I loved them, but there was lots of my sister. I loved my sister, and there was nobody like my sister, really. And but she was in a
It's your half sister, the younger one.
no, my big sister who
Oh,
died.
sister,
The
she's
one
dead
that was
as well.
abused. Yeah, the one that was abused. But she was very harsh on me. Really, really
Is
harsh.
she the one that slept with your husband?
Yeah, yeah.
She dead now.
Oh, she did. She all through her life she done naughty things to me. All through her life.
Yeah, it's
But
interesting
I
as well.
gave her because I had her put on this pedestal. But then when I went home, I realised, God, I gave you more credit than you were worth.
And
You
is
know,
she still alive, Beth? I'm sorry to
she,
ask you.
she died of cancer.
So
I,
both your mum and your
my
sister.
mum died after me nursing my mum. I was brilliant at palliative care. And then my sister, 3 months later, was diagnosed terminal. So
Oh,
I nursed her for 17 months until her death. But I knew, well, she actually said it to me at one point, because I said to her, Kath, God, I wish it was me, because like I've got no kids and that. I mean, you've got everything to be here for. She says, I wish it was you as well. Yeah, but I can understand. You'd want to wish it on anybody, wouldn't you, except for yourself? I think that's just a human thing in people. You would want to wish it on anybody, but I wouldn't say that to somebody.
no, that's a bit harsh.
But
That's a bit harsh.
Kath was very much like that. She didn't give a shit.
Oh,
I put it down to, now I put it down to, because she was so damaged when she was 5 years old. My grandfather was interfering with her. So she was so fucked up and damaged that I don't think she was aware of how cutting she could
yeah,
be.
yeah. I think I
Try to
don't.
understand some things. I don't look at something negatively. I look for a positive, always in a negative. I always have done. And and that's my positive out of it, is she didn't know any better because she's been hurt since she was 5 years of age, and she had no outlet, and she's not let go of it. It's festered inside her. It's turned into a cancer.
It does, it does. I've seen that happen, and I think because I'm wrestling, I'm wrestling with anger, with rage, and I've seen it kill people. I've
Yeah,
seen rage and bitterness make people so ill,
yeah.
and actually produces toxins. It produces bile.
I do believe that that's
And I do believe you can actually die of anger and woundedness. Did your sister ever get counselling or any help at
no,
all?
she never ever did. And I
Right.
used to say to her, listen, Kat, because she was the only one I ever told. I said, come on, I'll go with you. I wanted her to get a little bit of help to sort of get a little bit of understanding. But for such an intelligent, and I mean highly intelligent, she was the dux of the school, at school till she was 18. Um, she wasn't really that smart.
Yeah, no, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. I think I've done a lot of research on this thing of if you're traumatized, particularly before the age of 7, but if you're
Yeah,
traumatized before the age of 12, the downside is it splits your mind and your personality. But a strange upside is it changes the brain pathways, and you're able to access more more of your subconscious mind than people normally do.
yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why they used to do it regularly in the public boarding schools and in the establishment, because it creates genius. One of the side effects of traumatizing children before the age of 12 is it makes their brain pathways go deeper. And how did you turn your life around? Did you get counseling?
no, I've never had counselling of any kind, ever. I just done it myself because, like, at the end of the day, you're the one you're at war with. You know what I
And
mean?
you're hurting yourself. Yeah, you're
So you
hurting
got to
yourself.
fix it out. You fix yourself, or stay dumb, stay stupid, or stay an addict. And it's not me. And now,
You had a will to live, no matter how much pain. You had a desire to
no
live.
matter how many times I tried kill myself. I definitely had a will to live.
And
You know,
you have tried to kill yourself.
oh yeah, about 3 or 4 times. But most of that was like twice. The first 2 times I tried was I was with my husband. So it was like, it was on my head, you know, he was in my brain, he was drilling in my brain. It's when I can't handle it. It's just, you know, sometimes if there had been a door that you could walk through, I'd have gone a long time ago, just opened the door and gone through.
I said that. I made a DVD, I don't know if you've even seen it, it's on Vimeo, called Chasing Rainbows. And I said if there was an instant suicide, guaranteed, painless,
Yeah,
90% of survivors would be gone.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 90% of us would just go, can't do this, walk through.
Yeah, I always think like if I was going to commit suicide, it would never be to harm myself. But after saying that, I was so traumatized by my husband once that I literally cut my wrist with a blunt Stanley blade
Oh, God.
in the toilet. He didn't know.
So you didn't have counselling, you didn't have methadone, you just got off heroin, and then you got off cocaine, and then you nursed your mother for 10 years, and then you nursed your sister for 17 months. It's mind-blowing. And you left an abusive marriage.
Yeah.
You dealt with not having children.
Oh, right. So when I went up to Scotland, after doing everything here, heroin and all that, went home to Scotland, started to meet my family again after so many years being here. It was just sporadic, I saw them. I got back into heroin again.
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't handle what was going on. So, and plus I was in another relationship and he was a womanizer and another abuser. I actually stabbed him. Yeah, right in the lung.
You're lucky you didn't murder him.
Well, he pulled my hair and I don't remember anything after that.
So you got violent and you blacked out.
And the next thing I remember, I was jumping on his chest. After stabbing him, I don't even remember stabbing him. So anyway,
I'll just rewind you a bit there. You talked about that blackout rage in the children's home, Balnacraig. Do you remember you blacked out and you don't remember? Has that happened more than twice in your life?
never.
So just those 2 times, once in the children's home and once with the boyfriend battering you.
And it's like a blackout for sort of like about a few minutes on each one. Because
it's time enough to kill somebody. That kind of blackout rage is time enough. A few minutes that somebody could be dead. You stabbed him in the lung. Jesus, you could have been doing 20 years for murder.
Yeah, but I was just about to jump on his chest, and if I'd have jumped on his chest, I'd have just took all the air out of his lungs, and he would have hardly breathed or anything like that. So really, I don't know, God works in mysterious ways, as they say.
Yeah. So you came to and you stopped.
You see, in all my drug abuse years, never ever did I go out with a drug addict. And I never would, because I need somebody to sort of keep me on the straight and narrow. Even though they don't know they're keeping me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
I'll go away and I'll be naughty, and then I'll come back and I'll be normal again.
Yeah.
And that's how my life used to be. But when I went home to Scotland and I was hit with a train, meeting my family again, full time, and this boyfriend who was a drug addict. So that was it. I just went to the pits of hell. Worst I'd ever done when I was here in London.
Right.
So this went on for about 3 years. And I thought, what am I doing? Frying pan and fire comes to mind. You're stronger than this. And I do. I talk to myself a hell of a lot, like. And I counsel myself, I suppose. I am my counsellor. So, and I just says, get a grip. You've done it so many times before. You've sorted your shit out. Sort this out. So I threw him out.
Good.
And just sorted my shit.
Good.
And
did you have good friends?
Not really. No.
Did you have good friends?
No, not really. Anybody that I've brought really close to me shat on me.
You know the Greek translation of counsellor and what counselling was supposed to be originally? The Greek translation for the word counsellor is friend.
Oh, is it?
And that's why sometimes I know if I can ring you and you help me open an email, or, you know, just listen to me go blah or whatever, that's as good as, I mean, you know, counselling's got its place, but that's what counselling is one person at least that you can be yourself with, you know, and you say, look, this is what I'm doing, this is what's going on.
No,
Did you talk to Kat? Was there anybody that you could really say?
I mean, Kath knew everything about me and all that, and sometimes when she was drunk, which was quite often, because her abuse of her body was with alcohol, mine and my brother's was drugs.
Drugs.
She used to sit there with her glass telling us how bad we were because we were drunk. And I said, you ain't no different to us, because you can go into
alcohol are the respectable addictions.
You're not better than us.
Yeah.
And this was the war between the two sisters and the brother. You know, because out of our dysfunctional family, me, James, and Catherine we had a crutch. James and mine was drugs, hers alcohol.
So you got rid of him, and that now your mom's dead. Your dad's dead, your sister's dead. How did you process all the bereavement?
Oh, God, it was bloody hard. It was really hard. And I would say, when Kath died, that like, she was like my mum anyway, but when she died, I was a bit angry with her. Besides being distraught in her, I was a bit angry with her because she'd done everything for me, Angela. Not that I couldn't do it myself, but it was easier to go, Kath, fix her. And she saved it for me, you know. It was just my running away. I've always had to go away, put your head in the sand. It's not, if you don't see it, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That kind of attitude. I can fix anybody else, but when it came to me, my head was in the sand. So when she died, I didn't have anybody. Nobody. So, and she's only been dead 6 years. So in that 6 years, I was 51 when she died. But I was 51, but I was only really 35.
Yeah.
You know? I had to grow right the hell up. In that 7 years nearly that she's been gone, I've had to grow up so immensely. And now that I'm at my full blossom, I'm angry with her now for doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, anger's a very
real... She did it through love and everything like that. But she was such a stern person. She's the type of person that says, no, I'm not doing it for you, do it yourself. Like computing. She was a computer teacher. Kath, teach me computing. You're not ready, she said. That's what she used to say. You're not ready. But other things, she would push me to do it, you know. But certain things, oh, I'll do it first. All right, I'll do it. You know, but other things she wouldn't.
It's part of the Scottish psyche. Tough love, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. I would want it any other kind though.
So how long after Kath died did you decide I'm back to London? Well,
I couldn't sit in my house in peace. That boyfriend that I chucked out, he must have thought that I became his mother, because he's got sort of same background as me, listy schools and things like that. He just kept on coming up, and it was causing friction between me and my brother. My brother hated him so much that my brother stopped speaking to me for 3 years. And I thought, I can't handle this. I've lost my sister. I've lost my brother. And it's because of this guy keeps walking into my house.
Right.
So I thought, why am I staying here? Because it was too painful.
Yeah.
Because I used to see my brother driving past, and anyway, but I put it out into the ether so that it would get back to him, because it's Goldfish Bowl where I come from, and he never came near. So about a week before I left, I get a phone call. That guy died just a few weeks ago. He called me, he says, your brother's looking for you. I went, no, he's not. He says, yes, he's just left my house. He says, give me your number. He says, I'm going to give him your number. I says, okay. I says, tell him to just come up. And anyway, he came. But I didn't hear him give the horn. And he went away, and I called Rab. I went, Rab, I says, he's I've just seen his lights go. I think it was him. Anyway, he says, don't worry. Anyway, we got in contact and my brother says, don't go. I says, it's too late. I says, if we had spoken about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd have stopped. But I couldn't stop it now because I would have let somebody else down. So I had to go ahead with it. Well, I didn't really have to go ahead with it.
Well, it worked. Look, you're stable, you're well, you know.
Yeah,
But I hear you. It's like, yeah, I hear you.
because me and him weren't speaking.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's my only family member, really, that I've got left.
And is he off drugs? Did he get clean? Okay, well, I shouldn't really ask that because it's third person. But look, you two are there for each other to the best
Yeah.
of your ability, and you fixed that relationship.
Of course, yeah. Thank God.
Thank God. So maybe even by going, it allowed it to heal
Yeah.
more than if you'd stayed. So you've got your do you mind me asking? Is it a
It's a council place that I have.
but you've got security of tenure. It's yours.
Okay, of course. I'm trying to get over to South London because that's where all my friends are. I've got a really good friend of like about 30 years who had my back when I really needed somebody a lot of years ago when I was in Bedsettland. I ended up having nowhere to live, and he got me into 2 members of his family's home, and I stayed there for quite a while. And I never forget somebody who's kind to me.
No,
Never.
no, I know. It can save your life.
Exactly.
So you're in London. You've got some good friends, even though they're a bit further away.
Yeah.
You've got your dogs and your nice neighbours. And what do you like? You're very active online. Would you say a lot of your healing has come from doing research?
Yeah, reading about other people and, and just getting to know myself a little bit better and but it's always kept me strong anyway, knowing that there's, not that I want that, but there's always somebody out there who's worse off than yourself. So, but I'm quite a loner, Angie.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because I think that's the only way you can protect yourself, really, is just...
Yeah, very sad. We didn't deserve that. I think human beings were created to love and be loved. And I think that one of the biggest prices that survivors have paid is that we found the only way we can protect ourselves is to be alone, which is a tragedy. It's not right.
Yeah,
so much love to give. Like, you end up, you're brilliant at palliative care and you nurse your mum and you nurse your sister and you'd help anybody. So much love to give, but unable to receive it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I also terrified of rejection. So if rather than let people in and they reject it, I don't let them in.
And do you think the drugs would ever get to you again?
No, I can't be asked.
Fair play.
No, I'm actually quite... I think I'm an alright... I've always thought I was an okay person. I really have. I just knew I was a lot fucked up. But now I'm not fucked up. Everything's been sort of ironed out.
Got some peace from going to court and getting justice.
Yeah. I have.
You've got your brother back in your life.
Yeah.
To the best of his ability.
Positivity. I'm looking forward to Christmas, something that's never happened.
So do you ever see yourself falling in love with a healthy relationship? You're only 58. We're only chickens.
I don't.
Have you really resigned yourself to just you?
Yeah. Yes, I'm from 42.
Yeah, I did. I decided I liked being on my own. Since I left my marriage in 2001, I had 2 disastrous relationships with alcoholics that were just abusive. And then one with a guy that was just an absolute nightmare from Hollywood. And I just thought, you know what, I'd rather be on my own. But it's kind of sad.
Well, of course it's kind of sad. I mean, even my friendships, I've just dropped somebody who was a friend on and off for 40 years because she's an abuser. So I'm not really... I'm a prime target to come and abuse, so just keep...
it's like, well, what can we do to get that label off our heads? Like, here I am, walk on me. It's just...
Exactly. I think we're too passive sometimes. As much as outspoken as we are and everything like that, and how we can tell people, the truth about a situation, we don't like to see it in our own situation, and we can't deal with it when it's in our situation, so we we blank it out and put up with the abuse. So I don't want to do that to myself.
No, no.
I'm quite happy the way I am.
Would you ever consider getting involved to counsel other survivors, or?
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so our little dream about maybe even setting up a buddy system between survivors, that no survivor should ever be in court alone.
No, exactly.
No survivor should ever be like terrified of opening emails or opening posts or dealing with stuff that's scary. There's enough of us out there that, you know, paid or unpaid,
Yeah.
we can say, look, I'm here. You know, with all my warts and all, I might annoy you and I might let you down, I might delay, but I'm here. To the best of my ability, I'm here and I'll help, you know.
Exactly.
So I just want to salute you for what you've survived, what you've overcome. I really do. I hope you give yourself a pat on the back.
We came down here, didn't we?
Huh?
Apparently. We made a soul contract that that's what we're going to put up with this life when we come down here. It's supposed to be a soul contract, isn't it? Our life is premeditated before we come here, apparently.
Well, it says in the Bible that God, he lines up good works for us to do ahead of time. Like that, the way I describe it to my kids is there's a blueprint, there's a plan for everybody's life, right? But to me, there's a plan A, B, and C. A is the best possible outcome, that you walk in what God's got for you to the best of your ability and you live your best life, because it says Jesus died. He didn't just die to save you. He died that you would have life, and life in all its abundance, a full life. Yeah. Like, you know, and I don't necessarily have enough joy in my life. I don't know about you. And then there's a plan B where you kind of go in and out of it. You kind of mess up and then straighten out, and then mess up and then straighten out, and keep going and make a difference in a few lives. And then there's plan C where you limp along wounded to the best of your ability, and you get to heaven and Jesus gives you a big old hug and says, look, it was tough. You done your best. You did your best. You know.
I'm B.
Yeah, I'm probably living on B as well. And I want to live on A. I used to say when I really want to die, because I'm wrestling with despair at the moment, but when I really want to die, I used to say to God, if you're going to keep me here, make it worth it.
Yeah.
And that's why I work so hard to make a difference, to stop others getting abused. Because if I'm going to be here, let it count. Let it count. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you had to go through all that to come to where you are now. I
don't think that was ever the plan A. I don't think God ever wanted children to be.
No, I don't think he does.
And abused. But
doesn't he gives us things that we can handle.
Well, he never gives us more than we can handle, but
yeah.
Funny, I've seen a funny thing. It says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. God, I'm strong enough now. Will you quit?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Enough's enough now. Please just give me a break for a little while.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've covered everything.
I think we've done our best. We've kept it real. And encourage other survivors. You know, there are people, even Fiona Barnett said when she was in despair a couple of weeks ago because other survivors dropped out, the case would have flown because there was at least 3 of them with tangible evidence, and the other 2 dropped out. So occasionally survivors say, don't testify, don't go to the guards or the cops, don't go to the authorities. But overall, would you say you would recommend?
Oh, of course. 100%.
Even for your own sanity?
Of course, because it doesn't do no good to keep it in. It doesn't. It tortures you.
How much does it do? Like you said yourself, if you'd known that girl's court case collapsed 30 years ago because nobody corroborated it, you would have been there in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
I would have done 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Yeah, of course I would. But it came to the point when I thought, I was quite happy that what I thought had been done.
You thought he'd been dealt with, yeah.
It came to the point I thought, no, he hasn't. Not for me, he hasn't.
Yeah.
But some people might be sooner. Some people, they have to take their time. But, don't let it.
Staying alive is an achievement. For children to go through what children have been going through in England and
there is stuff.
Australia, America, 50 years. To be alive is a big like that's an achievement, you know.
And not all judges are corrupt.
No, there are some good. There are. I remember I told you when I finally went for professional help, age 43, and then I begged a social worker to take my 2 boys into care. She was brilliant. She says, "I'm not going to do it. It could take you 2 years to get them back, Angie. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to help you. You can do this." I mean, she was brilliant. She was brilliant.
Yeah.
And the same social worker, a neighbour of mine, was supposed to engage with her, and every time the social worker came, she hid.
Oh.
And she lost her kids. And it was the exact same girl. I engaged with her and was completely honest. She was fantastic. The other girl hid from her and told lies, and she lost her kids. You know, so we cannot resign ourselves to saying every cop is a bastard,
Yeah.
every social worker's after your kids, every judge is bent, you know, every politician's, you know, putting their penises in pigs or stuffing pigeons up their. If we give in, no, I think there's more good than bad.
Oh, of course.
But it's hard for me to say that, to be honest. The coroner, despite a 0 blood alcohol reading in my sister, has written on her verdict, alcoholic, toxic.
They did that with that Amy Winehouse. They put on that Amy Winehouse's, and that was a ritual abuse. And even the neighbours heard her screaming.
Do you know the strangest thing that cheered me up? I happened to watch a thing about Princess Diana's death, and I saw that the cover-up her inquest was, and I thought, oh well, Fiona, you're in good company. There's more inquests than yours been a total lie and a total cover-up, you know.
Apparently, well, in the same Amy Winehouse, you can tell that it's a ritual abuse when the body's being brought out from the home into the ambulance, and that Amy Winehouse's had a blood red cover over her body. And
well, I guarantee you, if a proper autopsy had been done on Fiona, I guarantee you she died on May the 1st. She died on a ritual sacrifice. I brought that up in the inquest. Oh well, and they even changed the time that she'd been found. They said Anne-Marie found her at 9:45 in the morning, and my sister said no, actually it was 8:45. And I said she had rigor mortis. Anne-Marie reported she had rigor mortis by then. I'd lay a bet she died on May the 1st, as she was supposed to, 2 days after the NHS in Manchester sent a letter saying, oh, you know, you haven't submitted your sick note for 2 months, so therefore after, I don't know how many decades of service, you're fired. Now that's because she was whistleblowing on a consultant of hers, and had been for 2 years, and they had been brutalising her for whistleblowing. Now her union guy got that reversed. Huh? 2 days before she died, came a letter from Manchester Health Service saying she was fired because she hadn't put sick certs in. Now that's been since reversed by her union. Her union guy went in and gave them hell, absolute hell. But no, she'd been going through hell at work because 2 years ago she made a complaint, a very serious complaint about a senior psychiatric consultant at Manchester. And ever since she'd done that, they've been trying to destroy her. So I don't think it was coincidence at all. I don't think it was. And May the 1st, like a few days before, somebody had posted in the mind control group about the ritual days in Satanic calendars and how they increase the ritual sacrifices and murders around Halloween, around the 1st of May, you know, what's it called, Beltane or something, the ritual high holidays. And I kind of poo-pooed it. I was like, oh, I've got my faith, you know, da da da. And then just 3 or 4 days later, there she was, gone on May the 1st. No surprise to me at all, no coincidence. 2 days after the letter and she had a complete dossier with all her evidence of why this consultant was doing what she said he was doing. She had supportive documents, she had evidence, she had everything. She had everything, and I swear that.
It's connected.
Hmm?
You think it's connected?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I do. And I'm not going to devote the rest of my life, like Miles Johnston was saying to me in the middle of the night, don't get consumed with this. She's gone, and you can do better things with your time and your abilities. You can help the living. Do you know what I mean? But I believe the truth will come out. I do. I believe God will bring out the truth. Like, you know, her blood alcohol was 0. her beta hydroxy something or other was 500 in her system. I've asked professionals, they've said, you know, that's agricultural level poisoning. That's like antifreeze. There's no way.
And there was no alcohol at all, was there?
They were trying no alcohol in her blood whatsoever. So they were trying the same theory as they gave for Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
They were trying to say, well, she must have been off the alcohol and then had an odious binge and then stopped drinking 2 days earlier, and then her body created all these toxins. Well, no, that's not true. That's not the evidence. That doesn't add up. No, that's not true. But like they're saying, if I want to appeal the verdict of an alcohol death, despite the 0 alcohol reading, I have to go to a judicial review in a high court. Just, you know, may God deal with them. You know, God says vengeance is mine.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to end on a downer. I thank you and I love you to bits. Thanks.
Yeah.
So let's just finish up by saying that you can be found on Facebook for any other survivors under the name
Jockney Rebel.
Jockney Rebel. I can be found Angela Power Disney on Facebook, and I also have a closed group where Jockney and I really met, is mind control, social engineering and diabolical experimentation in the UK and US, bit of a long and Australia I should add, and New Zealand and Germany, whatever. But that's not all in the title. Anyway, mind control, social engineering, you'll find it. And another group for survivors called The Faraway Field. And 2 YouTube channels, Angela Power Disney and Angie Power Disney. Thank you, and we'll talk again, and I'll get this edited and up as soon as I can.
All right then, Angie. Bye-bye.
Say a prayer to finish. Do you want to just say a little prayer?
Let's do one. No, thank you, Father, for today. I'm blessed to have some good people in my life. For all the children out there who are suffering, we hope to end your suffering soon.
Yeah.
I wish peace to everyone.
Amen. Amen. All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.